One horn, the stink of Avernus, advocatus diaboli.
Well, I'll be God's damned. The blade of frontiers. Thought I'd shaken you for good. That'll teach me to underestimate you.
Karlach, the archdevil Zariel's gladiator, come to burn the Sword Coast to ash.
If by met you mean hoofing it through the hells with this fucker on my tail.
Shut it, devil. I know your kind. A heart darker than a shadow's nightmares. You'd cut a child's throat just to taste the blood.
A devil? I didn't take the blade for a fool. I'm...
A great fire roars through you. The fire of the first hell. You are Karlach, tearing through demons across a blood-red landscape of fire and volcanic cinder. The front lines of the blood war. With every swing of her axe, Karlach fulfills Mistress Zariel's purpose.
Proof! Clear as summer sky. It's over, Karlach. It's time you feel the sting of the blade.
I've tried to tell you. I'm not what you think I am.
Another vision. Karlach's blade rays slicing through devils, Zariel's servants, as her eyes dart around, seeking escape. Wyll shudders with Karlach's desperation. She is a victim of the blood war, not an agent of it.
By Balduran's helm, No, I will not be tricked.
You saw the truth. I may be an effective soldier, but I never wanted to serve Zariel. Legged it away from her the first chance I got.
And yet you served.
Wyll catches his breath and his lips straighten. Sheer dread twists his face.
No! Devils cannot be trusted!
Would you listen to sense? This doesn't have to end badly for either of us. You know monsters better than anyone. Can't you look in my eyes and see I'm not a devil?
You don't know what this means. You don't know what you're asking me to do.
I'm asking you to live, Wyll. I don't want to hurt you. And to be frank, I'd rather not find out how the blade got his name. I swear to you, on all I am, I'm not what you think.
Shit! Shit. You really are no devil, are you? I've been deceived.
Oh, thank the gods. Thought I was gonna have to take your head.
You would have died in the attempt. But there have been enough threats today.
Truce then, eh?
Aye. Truce. I see the good in you, Karlach. I promise not to lose sight of it. Even when the hells burn hottest.
There are important matters to discuss.
Glad Wyll saw sense. Even more glad he decided to stick around. Takes a pretty slick mover to track down old Karlach. Fair. But still, the man's got a reputation for being lethal with that blade. I'm glad it's on our side.
Let's go.
We meet again, as predicted. I shall be here in thy camp, for whenever thou hast need of my services. There are many answers to that question. None are important. Correct. No. Beyond mortal realms, there doth exist an amalgamation of spirits akin to thine own, ensnared by the treacherous cult of the Absolute, felled in its name. They bear great discontentment with their destiny. For a mere pittance of coin, I might summon the worthiest among them to lend aid to thy undertaking. Most willingly, forsooth. Their passions doth run deep for what hath been wrought upon them. Suspicion always haunts the guilty mind. My services are all that I can proffer thee. What thou wilt do with them is for thee to undertake. Should thou or any of thy compatriots perish, I will cleave soul to body once more. A matter of coin. Such is life. Outrage leading to a singular end. Then I shall wait here patiently until it is acquired.
You've been witness to a pantomime, I'm sorry to say. And I've played my part all too poorly. I can say only this. Karlach's not the only one who's had a villain's knife held to their throats. One night soon, when we make camp, the veil will be lifted, and I'll pay my penance. You don't know the half of it.
Good thing for Wyll that Karlach called a truce. A tiefling that mighty would shred him to pieces and burn the remains. Now, what did you need? I expect I am your first. I suppose I am as alien to you as you are to me. I know of your kind, but I do not often encounter them. That large, fleshy nose of yours looks like a mistake. Better is an opinion, but mine is certainly more economical, disciplined, dignified. I understand much beyond your comprehension. More to the point, I know the cure for our condition. It is imperative we locate a creche. You do well to observe more and question less. Yes, in great detail. It starts with a fever and memory loss. Then you start to hallucinate. Your hair falls out and you bleed from every orifice. Your bones will change form. Your jaw will split to allow room for 4 great tentacles. All skin will turn to gore and be shed to reveal new flesh underneath. Then you have ceased to exist, and a mind flayer is born. Words forged in steel. May your actions express the same metal. We must find my kind and be rid of the parasite. It's as simple as that. The first symptoms should have long since started, though. That is what puzzles me. Yes, if you give it no further thought. But anomalies lead to surprises. Bad surprises. Besides, what hasn't happened may yet come to pass. Entirely. I was as devoted to my studies as I was to my training. Each creche contains a Zaithist purification device. So I learned from the writings in the Karlach library. The library was a gift from Vlaakith herself, that we may gain total understanding. I will not brook your ignorance. Countless scholars roam the astral sea and beyond, observing the ways of our lessers, exploring planes so distant order turns to chaos and cold fires rage. I know what you can barely fathom. That you cannot bear it makes it no less true.
lae'zel seems to have a touch of respect for you. Perhaps she'll take the news with grace. Or whatever passes for grace for a Githyanki.
Of course you are. I may be an outsider to these lands, but I'm hardly ignorant of your kind. Your breath reeks of blood iron. You slink like a darkling and preen like a parrot. You wear your identity like a second skin. I am not averse to your kind, Astarion. Queen Vlaakith herself dwells in undeath, and she is no less revered for it, and no less alluring. But so much as smack your lips when I'm near, and I will sever you piece by piece. I'll leave you to guess which piece I plan to start with. Am I understood? Oh, good. I'd hate to see you subject yourself to my further mockery.
Seems like Wyll and Karlach will play nice from now on. Saves us having to pick sides. There's no story. None that you're entitled to hear, anyway. Just forget you ever saw it. We've been through quite a lot, with likely more to come. Care to narrow it down a little? Must I? Thinking about it won't help. We know what to do, so let's do it. Find a way to rid ourselves of these things. Personally, I think finding this Halcyon is our best bet. I'm not too hopeful that a Gith creche will actually prove our salvation, but worth keeping in mind. I suppose we'd go our separate ways. Not a slight on your company, of course. Home. Baldur's Gate. There's someone waiting for me there. Someone I have to reach. As soon as possible. Thank you. And you're right. It's a delicate matter. Not something for light conversation. I must admit, you've been a surprise. And not an unpleasant one. Kindred spirits are few and far between for me. Besides, you saved my life aboard the Nautiloid. How can I do anything but sing your praises? Must we? No harm in a little mystery, don't you think? Easier's often less interesting. Besides, we've plenty of reason to rely on each other already. You can't confide in just anyone about a monster in your head. Thank you. I'm sure we'll get along perfectly well.
Copper for your thoughts? Depends on the type. Ice devils hate an inferno, but that's an easy one. Orthons love projectiles. What they don't love is getting their bombs lobbed right back in their faces. Demons, on the other hand, every demon is absolutely singular. You can't ever think you've got them typed out. Sharp instincts, sharp weapons, and a knack for improvisation. That's the only way to survive them. Anyway, what were we talking about? Trust me, I'll tell you all about it after we take care of the goons on my tail. Wasn't all that long ago. I never knew the whole of how and why, but I remember the devils slavering with delight. I should have looked after the Elterans more. Gone out of my way to make sure they were all right. The long and short of it was, I didn't want to risk my neck. I let them get on with the nightmare, same as I had to. But Avernus is no place for decent folk. I'm glad they got out. So glad. Funny you should ask. I was just thinking about what would have become of us without that Nautiloid. I mean, I know where I'd be. Trapped in Avernus still, with the Blade of Frontiers on my tail. But what about you? It's hard to picture, honestly. That Cazador could never beat you in a fair fight. Not the Astarion I know.
Thank goodness that's all dealt with. The odds are stacked high enough against us already. They'll need to turn on each other. Let's see. I hail from Waterdeep, City of Splendors. I am a wizard of considerable acclaim and scholar of exceptional accomplishment. I have a cat, a library, and a weakness for a good glass of wine. And if the mood takes me, I'm known to try my hand at poetry. There. Certainly. That I have a great respect for privacy, for instance, especially my own.
The Blade of Frontiers at your calling. My father once said, "One does not pursue a champion's life. One merely answers its call." So it was for me. I was hunting near the Cloakwood when I heard it. A child crying out from a lone farmstead. I found him in the fields, flanked by goblins. His mother's corpse bled into the soil next to him. I don't remember much of the battle, but I remember drying the boy's tears after. No, but he named me friend, and that meant the world. But what of the others? The children never saved, the cries never heard. In the boy's tears, I finally saw the suffering wrought by the villains of the wild. The Frontiers demanded a blade, and so I heeded. Baldur's Gate, born and raised, the only son of a single father. He wanted one life for me. I chose another. We haven't spoken since I left the city. A classic drama, a staunch father and his rebellious son. Better heard from the bard's lips than mine. A most vicious one, in fact. It's made from pure bloodstone, carved from the Galena Mountains just north of the Moonsea. A reminder that sometimes blood must be shed and sacrifices must be made. But that story is reserved for lifetime friends and calmer days. By all means. I've come to know a fair few village clerics, but none with the skill to pull these worms from our heads. From what I understand, there's a healer called Nettie in the Grove. Perhaps she's got the talent. We should pay her a visit.
All right.